At just 17 years old, she completely tore through the entire Muay Thai world, knocking out even male fighters, and shattered the record for the youngest world champion in one championship history. Now, she's locked her sights on the MMA octagon. Today, we're talking about the Scandinavian fighting phenom, Smilla Sundell, and breaking down exactly how she evolved into the ultimate ring terminator.
Body shots. Sundell in the ring punches.
Born in Sweden in 2004, not far from the ancient Viking stronghold of Birka, Smilla started building her foundation with karate at age 5. But back then, her real dream was to become a basketball player. Later, her family relocated to Koh Samui, Thailand, where she was introduced to Muay Thai at the age of 12. When she first walked into the gym, Smilla was incredibly introverted and socially anxious. She was terrified of making mistakes while people were watching. So she came up with a brilliant trick. Every time they learned a new technique, she would push her little sister, Leia, to the front to try it first, while she hid in the back to observe and learn. The crazy part? She initially had absolutely zero desire to compete. Her first 3 fights were completely last minute. Her coaches literally tricked and pushed her into the ring with just 1 day's notice. She was furious. But nobody could have predicted that once that deep-rooted aggression was activated, there was no putting it back in the box. Riding on pure grit, she won all 3 fights and completely fell in love with winning.
Gets that inside control. Oh, big push kick.
In just 3 short years, this Nordic teenager racked up over 20 victories across local rings of all sizes. By the time she was 15, Smilla literally ran out of female opponents in Koh Samui because she had completely cleaned out the division. It was at this point that she actually crossed the line and took a fight against a male opponent. Relying on relentless clinch pressure, she forcefully broke the will of male fighter Bongsak Sitpolek right there in the ring. Fast forward to 2019. Her parents were homesick and planned to return to Sweden, but they knew damn well their daughter possessed a ridiculously rare talent. So, they made the bold decision to let the 15-year-old Smilla stay behind on her own at the elite Fairtex Training Center in Pattaya, heavily inspired by the legendary Stamp Fairtex. As she put it herself, "I had just finished school, and there were only 2 roads in front of me. Pack my bags and go home, or stay here and fight it out in the ring." Smilla didn't disappoint a single soul in Thailand. That height she originally grew for basketball ultimately became her ultimate cheat code for destroying people in the ring. Fighting at 125 pounds, Smilla stands at a towering 5'8", 173 centimeters, with a freakish 69-inch, 175 centimeters reach. This physical blueprint makes her absurdly tall for the division. Even when moving up to fight grizzled veterans in the adult division, she could instantly flip the switch into hunter mode. While her punching power still needed a bit of refinement back then, her suffocating clinch game was absolute torture to deal with. There's an unspoken rule in women's Muay Thai. When you see a quiet, super low-key savage like her, you better walk the other way. Even when facing opponents with heavier hands and more knockout power, Smilla's iron will and relentless storm of combinations would instantly take over the fight. Over the next 9 months, she turned into a ruthless meat grinder, steamrolling the competition. She didn't just earn the badass nickname the Hurricane, but she skyrocketed straight to the #1 spot in the WBC rankings. It wasn't long before Asian combat sports giant One Championship set their sights on this rising star. At just 16, Smilla inked the contract. For the entire next year, she obsessively sharpened her knee and elbow strikes. During this time, she was not only sparring with the Iron Man Rodtang, but also receiving personal guidance from lightweight king Superbon. In February 2022, Smilla made her highly anticipated debut against Deandra Martin, an ultra-tough Oceanian fighter known for her vicious high kicks. But the second the bell rang, the usually smiley Smilla turned ice cold. She used a devastating high-low striking mix to brutally compress Martin's space. Even though Martin was incredibly tough, surviving 2 knockdowns without being finished, the suffocating volume made the fight an absolute one-sided beatdown.
Smilla puts that vice line.
Can you believe it? The person delivering this kind of terrifying pressure was only 17 years old. When faced with heavy counterpunches, Smilla didn't take a single step back. In fact, it only hyped her up more. She pinned her opponents to the cage, utilizing veteran-level rhythm changes, beautifully fluid three-piece combos, and a razor-sharp jab that completely neutralized any offense. This absolute masterclass made the one executives make a decision right there on the spot. Her next fight is for the belt, but standing across from her in the title fight was no walk in the park Filipina powerhouse Jackie Buntan. This superstar striker, who frequently graces the pages of fashion magazines, boasted blindingly fast hands and would later become an elite contender in both Muay Thai and kickboxing. On the 22nd of April 2022, Buntan stepped into the circle with a highly targeted game plan. Right out of the gate, she tried to overwhelm Smilla with explosive combinations to neutralize the longer jab. But by the second round, the incredibly high IQ Smilla instantly adjusted, intercepting Buntan with a piercing straight right hand. From that moment on, the fight entirely fell into Smilla's rhythm. She used her trademark suffocating pressure to absolute torture the top dog of women's Muay Thai for 5 grueling rounds. When the referee raised her hand, Smilla Sundell, at exactly 17 years, 5 months, and 10 days old, officially became the youngest world champion in one championship history. An absolute killer in the ring, but the moment she grabbed the mic, she was as shy as the girl next door. I'm so happy. It feels like a dream. Later, while celebrating at the gym with Tawanchai, she playfully dropped a secret. Actually, people don't know this, but I can speak Thai. I just like to keep it hidden, mostly because I'm way too shy to speak up. Fast forward to September 2023, and Smilla faced another hardcore killer, atomweight queen Alicia Helen Rodriguez, who was moving up a weight class to challenge her. The highly technical Brazilian machine gun definitely wasn't there just to make up the numbers. Her heavy left hand had previously knocked out countless top contenders. The fight was absolute fireworks right from the opening bell. Rodriguez didn't just shell up like previous challengers. She consistently landed heavy left hands and inside elbows, while Smilla fired back with devastating liver shots. But going into round 2, Smilla completely took over. Combinations, massive hooks, and connected knee-elbow strikes rained down on the Brazilian like a hurricane. Under this ridiculously high-volume onslaught, she scored a dominant TKO finish in the 3rd round, casually bagging a $50,000 performance bonus in the process. Even after putting on such a dominant performance, the young defending champ still wasn't totally satisfied. I'm always a slow starter. It always takes me a round to find my groove, but once I get going, it's fine. After securing the bag, she smiled and added, "Now I can take my whole family on a vacation." Having essentially run out of competition under Muay Thai rules, Smilla came back from vacation ready for a new thrill. She crossed over for a kickboxing match against Milana Bielogralik, a veteran with a massive 45-7 record. Smilla relied on airtight combinations to cruise to a decision victory. But being used to the art of 8 limbs, she admitted it felt incredibly restrictive. I fought well, but I really wanted to use my elbows. I just wanted to pull them down and smash their face. If we were allowed to clinch, I would have finished her early. But combat sports is never a smooth ride. In May 2024, the 19-year-old Smilla faced the biggest crisis of her career, heading into her bout with Russian powerhouse Natalia Diachkova. Still physically growing, Smilla missed weight by 2.7 pounds on the scale and was instantly stripped of her world title by the promotion. The belt was gone, but the fight was still on. Clearly affected emotionally in the opening frame, Smilla took some damage and fell behind in round 1. But true elite fighters are never afraid of adversity. In round 2, Smilla bit down on her mouthpiece, slowly backing Diachkova into the ropes. A crushing body shot instantly drained the oxygen from the Russian, and Smilla followed up with an avalanche of strikes to secure a comeback TKO victory at exactly 2:59 of round 2. Afterward, the two warriors shared a long embrace, perfectly showcasing the true respect in this sport. Following the weight miss saga, it became clear Smilla's growing frame simply couldn't squeeze back down to 125 pounds. Because one championship didn't offer a higher weight class for women's Muay Thai, in August 2025, Smilla was officially removed from the active roster. Facing a scenario with no fights on the horizon, Smilla just said screw it and went all in on an MMA transition. She signed with the well-known North American promotion Tough Enough, officially stepping up to the 135-pound bantamweight division. She spent the entirety of 2025 grinding relentlessly on her ground game, even crossing over to win 3 grappling tournaments in the process. By January 2026, Smilla made her MMA debut at Tough Enough 151, utilizing her massive striking advantage to secure a clean, devastating knockout.
But it's going to be another chance. Second knockdown.
As it stands today, her professional MMA record sits at a flawless 2-0, with both wins coming by way of brutal KO. Looking back at the history of women's MMA from UFC legend Valentina Shevchenko to Dakota Dicheva and Yana Kunitskaya, fighters with a Muay Thai base have never lacked dominance. And as for Smilla Sundell, an absolute phenom who completed the highest levels of Muay Thai before even turning 20, it is genuinely terrifying to imagine just how high her ceiling goes. We are absolutely going to witness this Scandinavian hurricane unleash a brand new storm inside the octagon. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and cast your vote for your favorite combat sports. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.